fourth straight loss this season, now with a record of 2-5. And guys, there were a lot of issues in this game, but let's just talk about the major changes that the Jets made to try to right this ship. They fired Robert Saleh. They demote Nathaniel Hackett. Todd Downing is now the play caller. They bring in Davante Adams. But clearly, they're still having severe issues with this team. Their fourth straight loss now. What did you see in this loss, Bart? How do they right the ship?
I mean, I don't know if y'all can hear me because I can't hear myself in my. Oh, I'm back.
We can hear you. Yeah.
The turnovers, it was a turning point.
Yeah.
15-6. Aaron Rodgers forces the ball into triple coverage. And they go down and I believe they score, right? They score before the half. Mm-hmm. And listen, the thing is, they're just throwing up moon balls. I want to see what the players' reactions are going to be. Yeah. I want to see what the players' reactions are going to be because I'm sure they're bewildered that they go in as good as they were feeling. Davante Adams, new start, a team that has Russell Wilson, a guy that you prefer to go against. And it's not that he just, broke you down. It's like you almost got beat by fundamentals. It's like you got beat by the 2-3. It's like you go play somebody that gets you in the 2-3 zone. And I can't believe I'm losing to the 2-3 zone. And they throwing up 50-50 balls.
Like old man stuff.
Right, yeah, it's like old man stuff.
Yeah, like when you play your dad in hoops one-on-one.
We call it the Mike Tomlin way. Tomlin's their way into a win, and it looks a lot worse than it was. But the Jets, untimely turnovers, ball bounced off Garrett Wilson. Both of the interceptions came off of targets. That was to Garrett Wilson. One is Aaron Rodgers' fault. The other one is his fault. Bouncing off his shoulder pads against a guy who was struggling at defensive back. And then when you allow the Steelers to get ahead, they know how to finish and they know how to close. They know how to take all the air out of the football, and they can just make just these little boring little throws, just enough to get the sticks, right? And then eventually you break down because you get desperate. Somebody goes outlaw and tries to get underneath or rip under, leaves up a big seam, and now you can't stop the run. Right, and then on the defensive side, they know you have to pass the ball. So now it's like those lanes and stuff get really small. They did a great job in keeping T.J. Watt out of the game, but there was a lot of throws that was missed by Aaron Rodgers. And listen, at some point, they got to take ownership of this. And next week, I don't want to hear, Hassan Reddick's coming. Everything is fine now.
Right.
Listen, at some point, they're going to run out of time, and they're going to run out of time, and they're going to look up, and everybody's going to be fired, and everybody's going to be starting all over again. And that's just the reality of it.
For real,
2-5 for this team with this much talent is a joke.
Bro, it's wild to think. What's crazy about this is the lack of depth showed up big time, right? When you talk about this team, how they started the year, and they brought on they kept 3 extra defensive linemen. They felt like they lacked the beef up front, and then now you're starting to see some of the guys who haven't played a lot of ball, who haven't played that phone booth type ball. They're starting to lose. They're starting to give up big chunks out there. And on top of that, man, Bart's right. When you look at this roster, if you was to tell somebody that didn't know football, who's a casual fan, that you had Davante Adams, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and Tyler Conklin and Breece Hall on your team, you think it's Super Bowl, right? And so this team, just time after time, it seems like that one small mistake just catapults into a back-breaking mistake. And
the snowball effect.
Correct. And, this is a Steelers offensive line that was ranked 30th, right? They're ranked 30th from 32. This ain't the Lions offensive line. This ain't the Niners.
The Eagles.
So, right. So we're just not meeting the mark, man.
This is comical, man. I don't even know what to say. It's like just watching this game. It's like Mike Tomlin found a way just to out-fund
But we said it before.
We're not going to beat ourselves. And let's watch them lose the game.
We said it early. We was like, listen, the Steelers are going to play boring, gritty football. They're going to field goal their way into a win, and then they're going to play
boots and shots.
But yeah, this is what they do. So it's a dub for the Steelers.
It just feels like this Jets team right now, they just feel like a glass house. Yeah. And you're seeing it all crumble. It all started really with the Jermaine Johnson injury, and it just shows the lack of depth on this roster right now, especially they're let's call it what it is. They're a weak team up front, and they've been a weak team up front, and it hasn't changed. And we see it and get on here and talk about schematic changes or different changes or alignment tweaks, and it just doesn't – they're not good enough, right? Like you could just say it with your chest. They're not good enough. And I thought Quinn Williams had his best game of his season. That's it. I didn't think anybody else played well up front at all. Will McDonald had a couple nice pass rush reps, but I'm talking about stopping the run, two-gapping, containing, reading, reacting, and they don't do any of that well.
Tackling.
And tackling. We get on this desk every week, and we say, and week 1, Jordan Mason, backup running back. We didn't know he was going to be the running back. We're like, you got to tackle Christian McCaffrey. Jordan Mason played that night. They didn't tackle him. They don't tackle any running back. Najee Harris, he had 93 yards after contact. I was 111 last week. So we say going into this game, you got to rally to the ball and tackle Najee Harris. They don't tackle him. They don't tackle Jaylen Warren. They don't tackle any of the guys after the catch or the receivers and the tight ends. So we could sit here and we could look at, like you said, this Ferrari-driven offense. Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. It just right, but it doesn't matter anyway.
But the problem also is if Aaron is not on time with the ball and he throws, there's a miscues because of his lack of mobility. They're shot out of water.
Yeah,
you know
they're limited offensively.
And they did. And so my point is, if he can't extend the plays with his legs, if he can't make things happen within the pocket, those missed throws, those are just downs lost, and they pile up. And so it becomes
and they're misses.
He's just not accurate.
Misses.
He's not accurate.
Right.
Like,
he's missing throws.
Right. It's like he's not planting his feet. He's throwing like.
One time,
and I know we're used to seeing him doing that.
He looked like a flamingo throwing the ball.
He threw the ball to Breece Hall and looked at Breece Hall like, hey, you're supposed to be there. Like, bro, like, no, you have to see where he is, not a spot.
But the ball going off Garrett Wilson and to Beanie Bishop as another pick is the perfect example of everything's wrong with the Jets right now. Right. Aaron Rodgers missed throws leading up to that. Then he throws one of the best throws of the night, hits Garrett Wilson right in the hands of the chest.
Oh, it should have been a shoulder pad. Hit him in the right shoulder.
I mean, that's the problem with the Jets right now is they are flawed everywhere where something different goes wrong every quarter. Yeah, this quarter we didn't tackle and stop the run. This quarter Aaron missed a throw that could have kept the drive going. This quarter we had a holding penalty that killed the drive. This quarter Garrett Wilson dropped the ball and led to an interception.
Damn near 2 blocked field goals. I mean, 1 blocked field goal.
Special teams is a disaster. Yeah. I don't know why they take the ball out of the end zone on kick returns because they get smashed at the 20-yard line every time. They're bad right now. Yeah. Like, they're bad. We're going through every aspect of the 53-man roster, and the coaching's not any good. So they're just bad right now.
What's even worse, I said this last week, there's nobody coming through that door to save you. There was somebody that came through.
Right.
And we didn't get anything out.
And they're going to say something's going to save him next week. They're going to say, oh, Hassan Reddick's here, so now the edges.
For 8 pass rush snaps next week.